Hi, this is Eric Smith. Time to do another quick look video, and I thought I would do it from Esther, the 3rd chapter, verses 8 and 9, and the Word of God reads this way. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, "There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of your kingdom. Their laws are different from all other peoples, and they do not keep the king's laws. Therefore, it is not fitting for the king to let them remain. If it pleases the king, let a decree be written that they be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who do the work to bring it into the king's treasuries." Now, people that are familiar with the book of Esther, Christians and even Jews alike, know that this is a story about God's providence in saving his people through Esther as Haman, the wicked Haman, devises a plot to destroy them. And in these two verses, we get Haman's plot right out, how diabolical it is, and all the things that he's doing to try to make the king do his bidding because he hated the Jews. Notice it says, Haman said to the king, "There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of your kingdom." Notice he didn't tell the king who those people were. There's different people scattered in the kingdom, of course, but he never said it was the Jews. He never said that. He kind of left that, undercover, because Haman hated the Jews and he wanted the Jews destroyed, but he didn't want to mention them by name. He wanted the king to be against these people. So he goes, "Their laws are different from all other people's, and they do not keep the king's laws." Well, yeah, the laws of the Jews were different from every other kingdom on the face of the earth because they came from a theocracy. Those laws were God's laws. And he says, and they do not keep the king's laws. Well, that's not true. If they're living in captivity and they're living here, they were keeping the laws of that land. Haman's lying here. That's what he's doing. Then he goes, "Therefore, it is not fitting for the king to let them remain." So see, now he's trying to tell the king, hey, listen, there's a threat here. These people are going to be rebellious. And you know what? You need to nip that in the bud right now. So in verse 9 it says, "If it pleases the king," and I like that. It's like, yeah, of course it's going to please the king to get rid of rebellion. And you just put that in his heart. "Let a decree be written that they be destroyed." Now, if the king writes a decree, that decree is written in stone and it cannot be reversed. And that's what Haman wants the king to do. And then he goes, "And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who do the work to bring it into the king's treasuries." Well, you know where Haman was going to get the 10,000 talents of silver? He was going to get it from the Jews. The Jews had prospered and they had monetary gain, and he was going to wipe them out and then take the spoil, and he's bribing the king with it. And hey, I'm going to bring it into the treasuries. Dear Christian, this is what happens when someone has hatred in their heart for God's people. They will plot anything to wipe them out. In the Old Testament, it was the Jews. In the New Testament, it was the Christians. Today, we have people trying to destroy Christians. Now, if you live in the United States of America, you're not seeing that much. But still understand something. Unbelievers still hate God, still hate Christ, and still hate Christians. That's what Jesus said in John 15:18 through 23. There's certain laws in the land that kind of curb and prevent people from going against the Christians today, but there's other places in the world where Christians are being persecuted and they're being attacked. There's diabolical plots against them, even as there were diabolical plots back then that Haman was doing against the Jewish people, and he was using the king to do his bidding. Remember, Haman was the Agagite. He's a descendant of King Agag. And King Agag was of the Amalekites, and the Amalekites were to be destroyed. That's what God told King Saul to do, and Saul did not kill King Agag. So Samuel ended up killing him in 1 Samuel 15:32 through 33. Guess what? Haman's holding that grudge from all the way back then. He's a descendant of King Agag, so you know what? He's like, hey, I'm going to get my revenge against these people. I'm going to get my revenge. But we know how the story turns out. We know that God in his providence saves his people through Esther, and Haman gets his end. But understand something. God's people are always going to be under attack. The Christian is going to be under attack today. And guess what? Jews are still under attack today. They don't know their Messiah yet, but they're still being attacked. That's going to happen. It's going to happen to the Jew. It's going to happen to the Christians. It's diabolical, and you know what? We have to expect that. But we have to understand that God keeps his covenant promises to his people, whether it's Old Testament or New Testament. And that's something that we can rest on and rely on. So this is Esther chapter 3, verses 8 and 9. I just want to do a quick look to kind of just go over how sometimes when somebody hates a people, they'll do anything to try to wipe them out. We see it in the Old Testament. We see it in the New Testament. We see it even today. But remember something. God is in sovereign control, and he is going to take care of his people. And you know what? He may do it directly, or he may do it through providence like we see in the book of Esther. But we have to understand God is a good, protecting God. As always, if the videos on this channel have encouraged your Christian walk and edified you in any way whatsoever, but you have not subscribed to my channel yet and you want to, hit the button. If you want to leave any comments, please do so, but please don't be snarky. Please do not be profane. We want to be Christ-like in everything we say and do as Christians. And until we do another quick look, read the book of Esther. Read about God's providence. Read that no matter what plot Haman was coming up with, he was going to be foiled, because God always takes care of his people. And he did it in the book of Esther, using Esther as the one to save the Jews, and Haman would come to an end. Today, let us rely on that same God and know that he can protect us and guide us and strengthen us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and God bless.